So this Powerdom power station is what we're going to review in this video. It's a very simple, straightforward system. I really like the wall charging option for it. It's got a very easy, convenient handle. It's much smaller than other units that have similar power. So I'm gonna go take a look at it so you can know if this is something you should get for portable power. Up front, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is not something I would use for emergency backup power because it's simply not big enough. It may be capable of running a refrigerator, but not long enough for it to really make sense to use this for those reasons. I could see it for something like a DC fridge, but I want to go over all of that as well as the solar charging, wall charging, all of that in this video, so you can have a full review of this Powerdom unit. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. My name is Ben. This is the Minuteman Prep YouTube channel. As you can see, I test a lot of these power stations, and this one is a decent little power unit. There's nothing super special about it, but it works as advertised for the most part. We're gonna get into that here in a second. Now the screen is very simple. The outlet options are right here with 2 AC outlets. All you gotta do is click this button right here. Then same with the DC outlets, the LED light. I don't really like LED lights on these stations, these power stations, but if it does have it, I would prefer it to be on the back so that way it can shine against the wall, because I'm gonna have this facing me, and so I wanna be able to see what's going on, but I don't want that light blinding me, and so I prefer it to be on the back so that way it can reflect off of a surface like a wall, and it helps illuminate a larger area. Now this only has a 700 watt inverter, which is fairly small, but it is pure sine wave. And the user manual and adapters are right here. So this is the wall charger. This is a NEMA 515 plug. This is the normal outlet that you have in your house. And then this is a C13 plug. And this is a very common power cable that you'll find for many different appliances and devices in your house. So it's nice that it comes with such a common power cable here. And then we do have a car charger right here, but no solar charger. So that really confused me because they advertise this as a solar generator or a solar power station, but there's no solar adapter. Now, luckily I have the adapter and we're gonna get into the solar input here in a second, but overall that was an issue for me. Now the user manual is quite small and it does go through all the details here, but it is very small print and there's just not a ton of information. I don't know that you need a ton of information simply for the fact that it's a very basic unit. So that's how the user manual is. And even says in the packing list here, listed in the user manual, that there is no solar adapter included. That's just crazy. So this is the EN700Q, is the exact model from Powerdom. It is a 700 watt inverter with a 614 watt hour battery. Now what's cool, like I said, about the wall charger is it can charge at 500 watts input, which means you can recharge this in about an hour and a half, which is very impressive. And then on the DC input, it's only 120 watts of solar input or car charger input. So that part is rather slow, but technically you could recharge this from 0 to full in a single day, but not while running equipment. Because if this were at 0% and it has a 614 watt hour battery, the input's 120 into 614 is basically 5, which means it would take about 5 hours to fully recharge. But if I was running a DC refrigerator at 50 watt hours per hour, then effectively I'm only getting 70 watt hours per hour to go into this. So it would be incapable to fully recharge this in a single day while running a simple 50 watt load. So that's my second issue with it. First being that it doesn't come with a solar adapter, and second being that it is a slow charging speed. But speaking of solar, let's go ahead and jump to testing this with solar. So for the Powerdom, it uses a 5521 connector. And these are really common, but I don't know what they're thinking. It doesn't come with the adapter. So you have to buy this adapter separately. That is a big no-no for me. If you're gonna buy the system and you're gonna put solar in the title, you need to supply the equipment. These pieces are like $2, if that, made out of China. So I've got a 200 watt panel connected to this. This is rated to 120 watts input from 12 to 28 volts and up to 5 amps. So a pretty low amp setting. Let's go ahead and plug this in. Oh, whoa, that was really fast. Okay, so typically with a MPPT charge controller, MPPT stands for maximum power point tracking. That is a better charge controller. It's a smart charge controller. It usually takes anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds for it to figure out the best way to use that power. Whereas a PWM, which is a pulse width module charge controller, reacts usually immediately like that. So I would actually venture to say that this has a PWM charge controller, because that is irregular behavior for an MPPT to do something like that. Either way, we're only getting 90 watts in, which would also be indicative of a PWM not getting the full rated input. You can have that with MPPTs as well, but whereas we're at 57%, there is definitely more than 120 watt hours worth of energy that can go into this battery, because the battery is almost to 50%. We should be seeing more input. So overall, that's the solar input on the Powerdom, getting 90 watts from a 200 watt solar panel, even though it's rated to 120. Only being able to get about 89 watts into this, that's another difficulty for me, because it's rated to 120, but it's only able to get 89. So with that being found out now, putting this through real life testing, we now know that this is impossible to charge from 0 to full in a single day, especially while running something, because we can only get up to 89 watts in. That was definitely a big letdown. Now, Powerdom sent this out to me. Obviously, that doesn't affect my review, but I really wish that this had at least twice as much solar input. It is discouraging for me when these companies advertise that they're solar generators or solar power stations, but then they just lack on the solar input. That is the number one thing that most of these companies fail on, is the solar input. So for me, this is going to be a thumbs down. I'm not going to recommend this unit. It works in the sense that you can get power from it to run things when you need it, when you don't have power from an outlet. But that's it. It doesn't have fast recharging from solar, which is what matters the most. So the best option for this to work is when you're still gonna have wall charging capability to recharge this quickly, and then you just need to run like some lights or some fans, or maybe like a photo shoot or something like that. For emergency backup power, this is definitely not going to be the one that I would go with for this size. For me, I would definitely rather look at something like the EcoFlow River 2 Pro. That is an extremely impressive unit. That's definitely my top pick for something of this size. Then in second place after the River 2 Pro would probably have to be like the Pecron E600 LFP, because that has a 1200 watt inverter with the exact same size battery as this, but it's lithium iron phosphate. And then third place would probably be the Bluetti AC60. It's very similar to this as far as output and battery capacity, but definitely has some better options there. So unfortunately, this one didn't work out. I'm not going to be able to recommend this unit, but hopefully you found this helpful, and remember to always prepare for self-rescue. I'll see you guys in the next video.